Today on Pat's Car Garage, another episode of messing around on the Jeep. Roll the intro. Piece of junk. That's a drain plug. What the hell did I do? Check this out. And then you can kind of pitch. I drilled a little hole in the firewall. Subtle, out of the way. I like it. The pigtail doesn't have any colored wiring. So, I'm not going to do anything crazy complicated in this video. I'm wrapping up a whole bunch of small stuff. One of which turned out not to be so small. The oil pan gasket. So I got good news and bad news, as it goes. I'll turn the flashlight on. The bad news is there's no easy way of removing the pan. The good news is you can make just enough room to replace the gasket without removing it. So the trick is, I'm going to get on my little creeper here and roll up underneath. So I got the new gasket installed already. You can see the blue of the Fel-Pro gasket. So that's done. But basically the problem is the axle gets in the way. The axle gets in the way and everything kind of gets in the way. The bell housing, the control arms, everything sort of gets in the way, and I ended up Googling how to do this, and it's not easy. You know, there's a bunch of ways you can do it. You can lift the engine up, you can drop the transmission down, but it seems like doing anything on the oil pan, it's better if you just wait until you either have to pull the transmission or remove the front axle, and then you can just replace it while you're in there. But the good news is you can make enough room to replace the gasket. And the way you do that is, or the way I did it, wait, my camera strap rolled under my creeper. Okay, so the way I did it, pull the stabilizer off. I'm gonna have to remove. I was gonna have to remove that anyway because I need to rebuild the whole front suspension. Pull the stabilizer off. Pull the Pitman arm to. No, that's the Pitman arm. This is the drag link. No. Yes. This is the drag link. Pull the drag link from the tie rod and pull the starter motor out. Super easy. Just a couple of bolteronis. So you pull the starter motor out, you pull that steering arm out of the way, and then you can kind of pitch and maneuver the pan and tilt it up enough so that you can pull the gasket off, clean everything up, wash the inside of the pan with some rags, and then bolt it back up. So I cleaned the inside of the pan to the best of my ability, but not trusting the process fully, plus the pan being kind of dirty on the inside anyway, what this being a really high mileage engine and all that. I poured some diesel into the oil. So right now the engine is still full of diesel instead of oil. I'm letting it sit in there and just wash all that crap out. And so I need to drain the oil again. Well, I need to drain the diesel out of the pan. I'm not going to run the engine with a diesel. The diesel's just in there to wash all the crap out of the pan and flush all the schmoo out. I forgot to mention, but you can't drive up on ramps to pull the oil pan out. You do have to jack the axle up, put jack stands underneath the chassis on the two corners in the back, or the corners where the lower control arms mount, and then drop the axle all the way. That gives you the room you need to kind of manipulate the pan around. So yeah, I ended up putting it up on ramps afterwards, once I was done, just by jacking it up and putting the ramps underneath, because that gives you a little bit more room under the axle to slide in with your creeper. But yeah, to actually remove the pan and manipulate it around, you need the extra room, so you need the axle to droop down, so you have to have the car jacked up. So for a while I've been debilitating about where to locate the switch for the auxiliary lights, and I finally figured it out. It was a lovely solution that kind of presented itself. So first the wiring. I ran the wiring, the ground from the relay, along the back of the firewall, zip tying it to the vacuum line. I drilled a little hole in the firewall right over there next to the accelerator cable, and I passed a little bit of vacuum tube to use as a makeshift plug to keep the water out and keep that watertight. So over on the inside, I initially thought about doing something with the ashtray, mounting the switch there, but I opted against that, and instead I mounted it to the kick panel right over here. Of course, I did break it while I was removing it, so I had to JB weld it back together. Now it's nice and solid again. So to remove this, there's a bunch of screws. A couple of them are hidden behind the wooden trim pieces on either side of the kick panel. And the rest of the screws are all exposed. So you remove all the screws and you just have to carefully pry the top out. The clips latch into holes into the plastic here. So you just have to carefully pry that out and I'll reef on it like a 300-pound gorilla like I did, and then it'll come off. So of course the switch is wired here, and if you remember from a previous video, I had shown that flipping this doesn't turn the lights on right away, because this is just the relay ground. The relay power comes from the high beam signal. So if we turn the lights on, so first we'll put low beams on. So the low beams are on right now. If I flip the switch, they still don't turn on. I have to flick the high beams. And now the spotlights are on. You can see them in the middle over there. And of course with the high beams, they turn on, turn off. Or I can just flip the switch again, and then the spotlights are off. So that's how that works. And that's how that looks. So pretty nice, I think. Subtle, out of the way. I like it. Better than the alternative that I had planned. You may also remember my center console, which was broken, is now fixed. Check it out. With the power of JB Weld, everything is fixed. There you go. JB Weld is good stuff. Put a new air conditioning compressor in and a new receiver dryer. Not that there's an immediate need for air conditioning on a car that can't be driven yet, but I did want to at least finish wiring up all the stuff here. So this was the final piece of wiring I had to do. It's the AC high pressure switch combined with the fan signal for when the AC commands the fan to turn on. So basically, when you wire this in, unfortunately, the pigtail doesn't have any colored wiring. They're all black, but it's easy enough to figure out which is which. Once the system is filled, only one pair of wires is going to have continuity. So do a continuity test. Test all pairs of wires. When you find one pair that has continuity, that's your AC high pressure cutoff signal. So this gets wired to the old harness that used to be plugged into here, and then the remaining two wires on this pigtail go to the fan controller to trigger the fan when the AC demands it. Removing and replacing the AC compressor, pretty easy. You take the belt off, and then there's just 4 bolts up here that hold the compressor to the bracket on the block. Of course, these two, the suction line and the discharge line, just unscrew those, pop them out. The receiver dryer, you should always, or in this case the accumulator, you should always replace it anytime you open up the system. So of course there is the duty cycle switch right here, which you have to unplug. And by the way, these two sensors, you can actually replace them with the AC charged. They will not leak out any gas if you unscrew them, because they have Schrader valves, much like a bicycle tire would. So basically when you unscrew this, the Schrader valve gets unpressed and it seals the system. So you can actually live replace these sensors. Removing that connection is a little bit annoying. You have to first take that square clip off, and then you need a special tool to release the clip, well, the clip that holds it on. So the special tool is this here. You can buy these in sets of different sizes, but basically you have to squeeze it on here. I used a large wrench to make sure that this inserted all the way inside of this lock ring to release it. And then I suggest you just cut it, and that just lets you pull on it much more easier, because while it's part of the receiver dryer, there's a aluminum hose right here that kind of prevents you from really pulling it on it straight back. But if you cut it, it comes right off. But you will need that little tool. And I believe that this is all of the random small stuff that I had to do on this car. Now, it's just about rebuilding the axles and the driveline. So next video, we're going to be putting in them gears, and of course, those true tracks that have just been sitting there this whole time. So next video, it's going to be far more interesting.